What a nice picture. That's me and my dad. Let me tell you a story about that young boy and his father. You see, I grew up with a single mother, which for me, unfortunately, meant that my father was not in my life consistently. Now, being the oldest of two children that he fathered, I took on the responsibility of protecting my family, a family that I didn't even create. Now, not having my father there affected me in negative ways because I needed that motivation and that support from a consistent male role model. Now, although my mother did an excellent job of raising two sons by herself, not having him there took a toll on me mentally and emotionally because I couldn't understand how a man who brought me here on this earth, he himself wasn't there for me. Now, there was this one summer when I was about 10 years old that I went to go see my dad. And what was most memorable is waking up to the screams of a woman and a man arguing, followed by a thud of a body being thrown against the wall. Being curious, me and my brother looked around to see that woman running down the hallway with no clothes on, and my father chasing her. Now imagine, if you will, going into your parents' house and not seeing any pictures of yourself on the wall or on a mantle. In my case, Tupac Shakur was on the mantle. You know when you were young, you used to go exploring your parents' room? Well, in my dad's room, you could see leftover drugs and drugs paraphernalia. Now let's fast forward a few years. I'm an adult, and I'm a father of my own. And when I entered into fatherhood, I said to myself, I'm not going to be anything like my dad. Now, in my adult years, I would go see my father from time to time. But when I went, it was with this motivation. I'm about to show you how I made it without you, but also to show you how much I missed and loved you and needed you. Now, one day I was sitting at home with my wife, and I said, you know what? I think I want to go see my dad. So she was excited because she knew that the relationship and lack thereof, how it affected me throughout the year. So she said, okay, when are we going to go? I said, no. She was confused. Little did she know, because I never told her, that the city that we stayed in for the past year, that not only did he live in the same city, but he was 20 minutes away. So we went, and as we got out the car, my father's eyes lit up as we got out and saw my family, he saw my wife. So once we got inside, after a few minutes, he said, you know what? Come out on the porch. We need to talk to you. I said, okay. As we stood out there and exchanged pleasantries for a minute, he looked at his watch and he said, all right, you got 30 minutes to say what you need to say to me. I know I messed up. I looked at him, I was confused. I said to myself, was this an apology? After the years of no calls and no shows, this was an apology. Missed birthdays and football games. This really is an apology. You didn't come to my high school graduation and you missed every major milestone in my life. And this is your presentation of an apology? Needless to say, that conversation escalated. I looked at him, I said, well, after all these years, why now? He said, because I want to get to know my grandsons and be in their life. And I said, so you can do to them what you did to me and not be there? No, that ain't going to happen. My words hurt because he fell back and he said, well, why would you say that? I'm an excellent grandfather to my other grandkids. But by that time, I didn't hear. I blocked everything out. I went into the house. I looked at my wife. I said, you know what? It's time to go. Let's go. And we left. And that was one of the last conversations I had with my father. You see, 2 years later, I was sitting at my job, I had moved away, and I was sitting, and I received a phone call from an associate who said my father had passed away. You see, the years of hard drugs and congestive heart failure, he ended up having a heart attack. And sitting at my desk, I was confused, and I had all these emotions in me, and just the tears just streamed down my face. Tupac Shakur, who's actually my favorite artist, said in his song, Dear Mama, as he chronicled his life without having his father, said, "It ain't nobody tell us it was fair. No love for my daddy because the coward wasn't there. He passed away and I didn't cry because my anger wouldn't let me feel for a stranger." But when I showed up the day of that funeral, I wasn't angry. I was sad. As I looked into that coffin, I didn't see a stranger. I saw my dad. So years after that, I struggled with that moment on the porch because in his way, he apologized. And I had a powerful tool I could have used, but I didn't, and it was forgiveness. The word forgive means to cease to feel all resentment from an offender. And on that day, I held on to resentment. I held on for the years of hurt. Now, I can't tell you when I had this great epiphany about when to truly forgive, but when I finally did and made peace with that, it changed my life forever. And I would take that story about me and my dad as I mentor and I talk to students, and what I found out, there is a direct correlation between unresolved issues and the lack of forgiveness. I want to do a demonstration for you. My left hand represents the person in your life. In this case, it was my dad. This paper represents the issue, no matter what that issue is. And my right represents me or you. So long as you hold resentment to a person, you are always going to be attached with that weight and that burden to that person in a negative way. But when you learn how to forgive and to release that resentment and let go, it falls away. And you're able to navigate in a much different way. Singer-songwriter India Arie, in her song, Get It Together, says the choice is yours, no matter what it is. To choose life is to choose to forgive. Take a moment and think about someone in your life that you need to have a conversation with and forgive. Find it in your heart to release that resentment and to release that weight and that burden. Choose life. Choose to forgive. Thank you.